You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WGBW Daily News Roundup for the Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. In April, hundreds of thousands of visitors will descend upon Green Bay, specifically in the Lambeau Field and Titletown areas, as the NFL Draft 2025 happens. Lots of people mean connectivity for internet and cell could slow down. Therefore, several cell companies have been making adjustments and adding extra equipment. Some of the equipment is permanent. Other adjustments are temporary, such as a cow, which means cell on wheels, to handle additional users. Two separate but connected protests occurred Friday afternoon in Oshkosh. One was close to a banquet hall where Republican leaders were meeting for a Lincoln Day dinner. The other was a few miles away at a busy shopping center. Both protests featured people passionately and legally expressing their dissatisfaction with changes made in the first months of Donald Trump's administration. Michelle Miller was one of the protesters.
I'm out here for so many reasons, though. I mean, I'm out here because my husband gets Social Security, and I have friends who are on and need disability, and I stand with Ukraine.
Indivisible Winnebago and Peaceful Patriots organized the protests. A 15-year-old Menasha boy faces charges of first-degree attempted reckless homicide in connection to a shooting in Oshkosh last week. Police say he ran from the scene initially and was arrested the next day in Menasha. A 19-year-old from Neenah and a 16-year-old from Oshkosh were also charged in connection with the shooting on Cherry Street. Officers found handguns and marijuana at the scene. Waushara County Sheriff's officials are investigating human remains found in the town of Leon last week. A news release said officers were called to the area of County Road EE between Black Hawk Avenue and 26th Court Thursday for the discovery of skeletal human remains. Details are very scarce, and the investigation is continuing. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, or DWD, has announced a new record high 3,053,300 total non-farm jobs in the state. That's according to January's preliminary estimates from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Construction sector jobs increased by 700. That's 3,900 above a year ago. Preliminary employment estimates for January showed Wisconsin's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate ticked up to 3.2%, which is still 0.8 percentage points below the national unemployment rate of 4%. Disabled voters won't be able to receive absentee ballots by email after a court ruling. Jimmy Kuska has the details.
A ruling this week by a Wisconsin appeals court means that disabled voters can't receive absentee ballots by email. The decision means that disabled voters will not be able to receive ballots by email for the spring election on April 1st. Currently, only military and overseas voters can get ballots by email. The groups that brought the lawsuit to give disabled voters the ability to receive emailed absentee ballots said they will not appeal the decision. Republicans said voting electronically from home weakens election integrity.
Absentee voting for the April 1st spring election begins Tuesday, March 18th. The Task Force for Internet Crimes Against Children with the Wisconsin Department of Justice is providing resources for online safety. It includes tips for talking with your children about safe online practices. Sextortion cases are on the rise, where sexually explicit material from the victim is used to threaten and exploit. Teenage boys have been the most common targets in recent cases. More than 100 cyber tips have already been reported so far this year. A Wisconsin Republican has urged Elon Musk to spare vets and farmers from federal cuts. Here's Joanne Krulatz.
3rd Congressional District Republican Representative Derek Van Orden says he spoke with the billionaire last week and that Musk assured him the Department of Government Efficiency, better known as DOGE, will be more refined in its recommendations to ensure veterans and farmers are not harmed by federal budget cuts. Van Orden says he'll raise farm and veterans issues when he meets with DOGE staff and that federal benefits to vets and farmers won't be interrupted. The Federal Department of Veterans Affairs employs almost 500,000 people, with more than 25% of them being veterans. And the Associated Press reported last week that there are plans to cut over 80,000 jobs at the department.
Wisconsin residents interested in becoming an organ donor can now do so while filing their taxes. The Wisconsin Department of Revenue has added a new option to the income tax return, allowing residents to register with the state donor registry right on their tax forms. Officials are hoping the added convenience will increase the number of registered donors in the state. Any resident above 15 years of age can register as a donor regardless of their health history. There are currently over 1,400 Wisconsinites waiting for organ transplants. A Republican attack ad against Supreme Court candidate Susan Crawford claims she would stop deportations of illegal immigrants or protect sanctuary cities. Is that true? Tricia Young has more with today's Wisconsin Watch Fact Brief.
There's no evidence to support the claim that Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Susan Crawford supports stopping deportations or protecting sanctuary cities. A GOP group aired the attack ad, but when asked for proof, could only provide the position of Democrats who support Crawford. I'm Tricia Young for Wisconsin Watch. Learn more at wisconsinwatch.org.
I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
The Bucks get rolled by the Thunder. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks fell behind early and lost to one of the top teams in the NBA, the Thunder. The final score 121-105. How did the Thunder control the game? Doc Rivers.
They were so much more physical. They definitely came in with intentions tonight and played that way. They played great tonight.
Men's college basketball, the Badgers drew the number 3 seed. They open the NCAA tournament this Thursday in Denver at the Ball Arena, home of the Denver Nuggets. They'll play the number 14 seed Montana Grizzlies. Marquette is going to the dance again, headed to Cleveland to face New Mexico Friday night.
Excited to be here, happy to be here, and just, excited to see our name called, because it's not particularly common for a school or a player or a group of guys to go to the tournament for 4 years. We've actually did the percentage research, and it's the chance of going to the tournament 4 straight years is 0.1%.
That's Marquette guard Stevie Mitchell with Sports on Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. A new documentary says we are not alone. The Age of Disclosure premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival in early March and claims aliens are real and that the government has covered up their existence for the last 80 years. The doc claims non-human biological matter has been collected from spacecraft crash sites. Director Dan Farah interviewed 34 government officials who confirmed some type of extraterrestrial life, but the film does not offer a whole lot of actual proof other than talking heads. No confirmation as to whether or not people have actually been probed. As promised, I said I would report back when I finished the show 0 Day on Netflix. The 6-parter starring Robert De Niro and Joan Allen explores what happens after a massive grid outage that kills over 3,000 Americans. 0 Day has some great moments, but ties everything up a little too neatly at the end. Having said that, De Niro is great. You've heard of Ted Lasso, the Apple TV show that premiered during the COVID-19 pandemic. It came at the right time and seemed to make people warm and fuzzy all over and give them much-needed laughs. We could use more of that now, and according to Variety, the show is coming back for a 4th season. Ted will be portrayed by Christopher Walken. Just kidding, even though I think that would be hilarious. Jason Sudeikis returns to the show that garnered 66 Emmy nominations and 13 wins. The exact release date has not yet been mentioned. SNL 50 happened weeks ago, but Variety is reporting that Bill Murray got very emotional during the festivities. The actor appeared on the Sway Calloway show and admitted to crying 3 times throughout the broadcast, especially losing it when a clip of the late Gilda Radner appeared, saying he loved Gilda and absolutely came apart when he saw her on screen. You may have thought Friday was freaky 22 years ago, but it just got freakier. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back as Tess and Anna Coleman, the mother-daughter duo, who, despite not having a great relationship, are forced to live each other's lives after a body-swapping incident. Wow, that's a rough sitch, even if you like each other. In the sequel, it happens again, dagnammit. Deadline reports that Jamie Lee Curtis will also serve as a producer and Lindsay Lohan as executive producer on the sequel, which will be called Freakier Friday. Wonder how many spitballing sessions that took. If you're excited about the Oasis reunion tour but can't make it or don't want to pay the money to see them live, you will have the option of a concert film. The tour starts July 4th this coming summer and runs through November. There are no details yet as to whether the film will be just the concert itself or have some kind of narrative, but there will be egos. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Partly cloudy and warmer today. We'll get to around 52 for a high this afternoon. A little breezy with wind out of the south at 15 to 25, gusting to 30. Tonight, clear 35. Tomorrow, partly cloudy 57 with some rain possible tomorrow night. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now 30.
That's your WGBW Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WGBW.FM. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.